It is Wednesday, the 22nd day of June, 2022. That's right, I said Wednesday. I said to myself this morning, Self, why are you so beholden to the Thursday at 9 a.m. episode time when no one really gives a fuck? Well, Self, that's a good point. Sure, the Friday drop didn't work at all. The last episode, Friday, it was a Friday. Nobody fucking listened to it. I mean, look, nobody listens to this show anyway, but it was less than usual. Which I don't understand. Like, is Friday that busy for you bums that you can't listen to this shit? Probably shouldn't call you bums, but whatever. If you missed it, you missed a good episode. At least I thought it was good. What the hell do I know? Anyways, yeah, Wednesday, the 22nd day of June, 2022, and I would like to apologize right off the top because apparently my microphone does not work. I am using my Logitech headset. I had to test the settings multiple times as it tends to be very loud. So if it's loud, I apologize. I don't really care that much. I do care though. So I take a week off. I come back, and here I am. Nothing fucking works. But I'm back with less crap than usual, as I'm thrilled to share an interview with friend of the show and New York City-based comic Alden Sewell. I would venture a guess that adding New York City-based comic adds a shred of cachet to this, does it not? It's not wrong, even if he is, by his own admission, quote, an open mic comic, end quote. I'm sticking with New York City-based comic because it'll look pretty good in the pod description. So, shitty audio throughout this fucking god-awful nonsense. Also have massive news in regards to AP Dave. A bit more on the Live Golf Tour, including the debut of my really fucking terrible Live Golf song. That's all right here, right now, on a poorly recorded episode number 122 of Complaints and Observations.
Still, the most less than average podcast on the internet. With a host who's the smartest person in the room when he's the only one there. A continuing odyssey into mediocrity. Guaranteed to make you question your life choices and your own sanity. This is Complaints and Observations with Dave LaPointe. Who the hell is Dave LaPointe?
I think he's a bum. I think he's an absolute bum.
All right, what's up? How are you? Let me apologize again for the shitty audio. Hopefully next week it'll work. I doubt it. I do doubt it. My guess is that the $25 mic has shit the bed. I mean, I guess what do you want for $25, right? So we might have to roll with the headset for a little while because, as you know, I am gainfully unemployed. What did I want to talk about? Oh, I mentioned big news for AP Dave. A friend of the show, Ben Sultan, who was on a few weeks ago. One of the things that we didn't get to, and I don't know if I mentioned it, but apparently Ben has been on 2 game shows, which didn't really surprise me because he is an unbelievably interesting human being. Well, it turns out now Dave is going to be on one of those game shows. The thing of it is, right, thinking of Dave on a game show has me laughing hysterically. That, it's not going to be, a ton of people that watch this, but it'll be, your standard middle American, housewives or grandmothers or what have you. People lying in hospital beds and with very little options. doctors and dentist offices. It's just too funny. It honestly is too funny, and I love it because I know he's going to do a good job, but it's just fucking hilarious to me. The show is You Bet Your Life. It's a reboot of the classic You Bet Your Life, except now it's hosted by Jay Leno, accompanied by his ever-present sidekick Kevin Eubanks. Very funny. Like I'm apparently it's going to air in the fall, and Dave said he wants to be on the show after after it comes out. Don't ask me where to find it. I think it's a syndicated program, and so I'm not 100% sure where you would find it. If I had to guess, it would probably be in the morning, on on NBC, because I think NBC is like still the only. Well, no, I shouldn't say that because CBS shows, but they show Price is Right and the what's the other one? Not Press Your Luck. Jesus Christ, the one that fucking Wayne Brady hosts now. Jesus Christ, that one. You know what I'm talking about. But yeah, just I mean, honestly, he sent me a text the other day. He's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna be on the game show." It's like, oh my fucking Christ, the world exposed to AP Dave. It's gonna be awesome. I'm so looking forward to it. I know it's gonna be really good. I know, like I said, I know he's gonna do a good job. So, big news. So keep your eyes peeled. Sometime in the fall, I guess. But anyways, so that's a great way to start the program, huh? I'm sorry, you're gonna hear every sniffle, cough, hack for the entire episode. Yeah, because that's what happens when your microphone doesn't work. You're stuck with, I've got the actual mouthpiece hovering like around my eyes, so that I'm not yelling into it. Oh, I'm smacking. Oh Jesus. Oh my God. Oh, I'm the fucking worst. What am I doing? Oh Christ. Oh jeez, I'm trying to put my glasses back on. Oh my God. All right. What else do you want to talk about? So, let's talk about Live Golf real quick. I hope you did catch the not an episode where I had a cavalcade of stars on to discuss Live Golf. Connor, Joe, Tim, and AP Dave made an appearance. He did talk about the French Open briefly, for some weird fucking reason. Um, Live Golf is the hot topic du jour here in the sports world in the summertime because, quite frankly, baseball is boring. The Red Sox stink. I don't care what anybody tells you. I don't care what my friends tell me, specifically Matt. Trevor Story stinks. That team stinks. They're not going to do anything. I say not going to do anything, but they'll make the playoffs and probably end up in the fucking LCS because that's the way things go when I make bad predictions, right? Um, but the Yankees are a fucking wagon, an absolute wagon. They're hovering on like 27 Yankees, the 1927 Yankees territory. They're that fucking good. And it pains me to say that, but holy fuck, they're ridiculously good. And the Mets are good too. So I'm really hoping that it's a Mets Yankees World Series and then nobody wins. So Live Golf yesterday, Brooks Koepka left. Well, I shouldn't say left. Because I don't know. I haven't seen if the PGA has suspended him yet. I'm not sure. But Brooks Koepka is now a member of the Live Tour, and he'll be playing in, I think it's Portland this weekend, in their what amounts to exhibition golf. I watched Rich Eisen's podcast, Rich Eisen's show, and he was talking about it, and it's like it's essentially exhibition golf, 54 holes, no cuts, team format. It feels like a fucking video game. It's stupid with a bunch of dudes you don't know, and a ton of Saudi Arabian money. Now, again, look, the thing that comes up, it's tough to say no. You know, when they come up to these guys and offer them boatloads of cash, it's got to be very difficult for them to say no. I get it. It's fine, whatever. But how much are your morals worth? There has to be a number. I would like to think that, I will never be put in that position. If the Saudis called me tomorrow and said, Dave, we want to have your podcast be the official podcast of something, I don't know. I mean, I'd probably say no because I'm that guy. I'm that guy. right? I'm the guy who's gonna like not. I don't want to say feign morality, but I don't know if I would be able to live with myself if that was the case. At the same time, right? And this is where it gets very gray. There's filthy money everywhere. So no matter where you are, no matter where you get your money from, there's probably some element of filth in there, right? If I had to guess. So it sort of leaves you in a real quandary. Which filth are you willing to accept? How much are your morals worth? But as has become custom, I think I've done it 3 or 4 times. But whenever someone else is announced as a new member of the Live Tour, I have to tweet out, "Give me that blood money," and it got me thinking. Actually, scrap that. I listened to it again, and it's fucking terrible, and it's unbelievably loud. I don't know why it's so fucking loud. Oh god, I am so fucking bad at this. Oh Jesus! All right, fuck it. Let's move on. Listen, I am. You'll hear it, in my intro, but I'm very excited to welcome my interview this week. Stick around, listen to it. It's very interesting. We get into a couple of different things. Specifically, we talk about how Alden got into stand up comedy. And we talk about the Celtics in the beginning. We get his opinion on that, and we get into some other things. We do, deviate. We talk about New York City a little bit too, which is interesting. So I thought it was a great conversation. I enjoyed it thoroughly, and I hope to have him on again in the future. But yeah, stick around, listen, and we'll go from there. Thanks. Okay, see you in a bit. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, another in the ever-growing conga line of former Wayfair coworkers to subject themselves to this crap. I'm thrilled to welcome to the program as interesting a person as I've met, and certainly one of the funniest. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Alden Sewell. Alden, please allow me to welcome you formally to Complaints and Observations, the worst podcast on earth.
Thank you, Dave. Yeah, no, it's a pleasure to be on here. I've only seen, I was wondering if I would have ever been on here if Twitter didn't exist. I don't think you and me would have ever been able to communicate.
Yeah, probably not. I mean, so I guess that's, one good thing for Twitter is that it brought us together. So thank you, Twitter. Greatly appreciated.
No,
So kind of speaking of Twitter, one of the things that we talked about, went back and forth, and that I seen you tweet a little bit was about the Celtics. So let me just get your quick sort of, hey, this is what I thought of the Celtics sort of season review, and then how you felt the finals went.
The season, I'd probably give the season review amazing, right? Like it was nothing I would have imagined. And I'm a big, what am I? I'm this negative fan. So like I want people fired immediately. I want people traded immediately. Like even after the finals game, I was like, maybe we don't even need Jason Tatum. So I think I tried to be a little less negative on the playoffs. It just hurt. At the end of the day, they got my hopes up, and I told myself I wasn't going to get my hopes up. That's really what it is,
Yeah, absolutely. And I felt the same way, just basically because I thought, the team win healthy and win playing correctly and not turning the fucking ball over 85,000 times, that, they were the better team. So it kind of pissed me off. But
that was the weird part. Has Jaylen Brown never known how to dribble, or was this something that just happened?
I honestly, I think it was like a just happened thing. It has to be, because I never noticed it. I mean, clearly you didn't notice it if you just asked me that. So
yeah, his sliding around and like his big steps, like I do remember that. And I've got to be honest, I start watching around like December or maybe like November. But I don't remember that being this bad, and the whole team just not being able to control it. And I get it, bright lights, you're nervous, but that was fucking weird, to be honest.
It's a good way to put it. Fucking weird. Because that's pretty much, that's what I thought too. Especially, again, I just thought the moment kind of caught up to them. I think they were, honestly, I think they were all gassed, and it's a shitty excuse. I think the whole team was just flat out gassed.
Yeah, I can get that. 2 Game 7s. And what's the furthest the Warriors went? They went 4-1 with the Nuggets. Then they go to game.
I think they went 5 with Dallas.
Yeah.
So I mean, they didn't play nearly as many games.
Exactly. And they're just, I mean, at the end of the day, what it is cool to see is that I do think I got in an argument with someone that they'll put Steph in their top 5 now. And I'm like, man, I thought he was close to top 5 before this. So
really? I don't know what it is about him. I can't. It's not that I don't think he's great, because I think he is, but all this top 5 business is just, I don't know. It's a little much. I mean, if you want to say, top 5 shooter, top 3 shooter, pure shooter ever,
okay.
He's up there for sure. Probably number 1.
Yeah.
But I mean, just in terms of, top 5 player of all time, I don't know. Maybe top 10 when he's done. You know what?
Well,
look, I'll be that asshole. Win one more, and then I'll say he's top 10.
It's always that. I was just gonna say it's always if he gets me another one. Yeah, I just feel like all the rings were, even though this is his first, and that kind of pissed me off too. I don't even think this should have been his finals MVP. I actually think it should have been like, I didn't look at all the stats, but like maybe Wiggins. I don't know, but
yeah, I mean Wiggins was solid throughout the entire series, whereas Steph had a couple of clunkers, but he had, like Game 6 was huge, Game 4 was huge, Game 2 was huge. So I mean, it was easy to make him the MVP just because it's him.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, all right, you probably could have picked somebody better. Who knows?
I still think I'd give him. I'm putting him in my top 10 of all time. I would put him as my number 1 shooter. And if he wins another one, then I'm definitely putting him up there with like LeBron, MJ. I'll put him up there. Wins 5 rings, this many threes, leading this kind of team. And when you really think about it too, like this series or this playoffs, I thought Draymond was good. Like this was the first
he
time.
Was. And that pissed me off because you know what it is? I don't dislike the guy. I hated him in this series, but I don't dislike the guy. He's such a perfect villain,
He is.
For literally any team that plays against him, just perfect. He just, I don't know. He was awesome. He really was. He was terrific. And except for, what was it? Game 1, he sucked. But other than that,
I want him to go down as like well, the problem is no one else, like Christian Laettner, right? Like everyone hated him. I think there are people who hate Boston equally as much as they hate Draymond. So there were people who, are rooting. Like Christian Laettner is probably a top 4 or 5 villain of all time. I feel like Draymond could go down. He's so good at it.
Yeah, I know. But I mean, that poor kid was he was cursed. He played for Duke, and he was on the dream team by accident. That was it. And people fucking hated him for that. I never understood it because he's such like a quiet dude. But he's like, yeah, I fucking hate Christian Laettner. Fuck him. He sucks. I still think that shot was late, but that's just me.
I've heard that.
Yeah.
That's a bold take. It's also like I forgot he played 11 seasons. Christian Laettner
stuck around
a little bit in I believe absolutely. Minnesota.
Yep. Yeah. Well, I think he played 11 years for them. I don't know. I think he went somewhere else after like his 5th or 6th year. I don't know. I didn't really keep tabs on Laettner's career post college, but anyway. Yeah, exactly. All right. So one of the things that I definitely wanted to pick your brain about, just because I find it so fascinating. So back in the day, after you no longer worked for Wayfair, you decided to dip your toes into the water of stand-up comedy. Now, I've never had the illusion that I was funny enough to do stand-up. I have zero issues with public speaking or any of that stuff. So that part would come easy to me. So I'm very, very curious. And I've always asked people that have been in that sort of medium, like what was it that said to you one day, shit, I would like to try this. And then at the same time, your first impression of it when you got up on stage for the first time. And it's sort of a loaded question, I know, but
Yeah, like that.
yeah.
So if we were to really take it like to look at me, it was probably a little bit of boredom. Like I was sitting at Wayfair. I was, 20, I don't know, 3, 4, or 5, like in that range,
Mhm.
working at, how Wayfair is working just so hard, 9 to 5.
Oh
It's
my
really,
God, I mean, just an
just,
absolute grind. Bloody
a lot of people talk
knuckles.
about Goldman Sachs and finance, but
Oh,
Wayfair,
please.
God, we would put in.
They've never tried to sell metal stools to pizza joints in fucking Des Moines before. So,
Exactly. So I would get out of work and I kind of just was trying to do something. I think I even tried to start a podcast. I wanted to do something sort of creative. And then I
mhm.
did open mics. Um, and it was a slow start and it still is slow, right? Like I've
Yeah.
moved around. COVID didn't help. I live in New York City now, so this has definitely helped. But
Oh, okay. I didn't
um,
know that.
yeah, so it's easier here. But to get back to
Mhm.
your original question, it was a boredom thing. I was like, let me try it. And what really happened is I had 1 or 2 good sets in those first 5 or 6 months that was
Mhm.
like gave me the confidence to do it.
Okay. Okay.
That I'm like, oh, I could actually, keep trying this. And even if I have a bomb, I remember I had a really bad one, maybe on my fourth or fifth time, but I had already had a couple laughs before, so it didn't hurt. If that had been my first time, I'd probably been like, well, I'm not doing that again. That's the kind
Oh,
of work ethic
wow.
I have.
Wow. It was that bad?
Well, it probably wasn't, but I think we need to really get back to the crux of who I am. I give up a lot, right? So I'm just, I would have just been like, well, I'm not gonna do that again. So that was fun. So yeah, so I did it, and then your second part of your question, what was that?
Fuck if I can remember now, but
What it felt
more
like to
so,
get up there?
yeah. So your first impressions of like when you first got up there in your impression of, hey, I'm doing this now, and I'm just kind of curious of the mindset that you had that first time.
The mindset I had the first time was like, okay, I practiced a couple of these jokes. What I didn't think I would, I'll tell you, the mindset was, hey, I'm funnier than these are just open mic people who I haven't seen any of, but my jokes are equally or as good as these open mic comics. So let's get up there, like just hit the delivery on time
Mhm.
and get off the stage, basically. So there was a lot of nervousness. One
Sure.
thing that I did not anticipate was this. You said you do public speaking, so I've always wondered this when you're doing a presentation or any public speaking is
Mhm.
like that little half a second or maybe even less of rushing, which you really can't do
Oh,
in
right.
stand up. And
Mm.
you can't even do it when you're presenting or doing any public speaking, right? The minute you start to, I don't know, not take a breath or speed up, it ruins the whole joke. I would argue more than even presenting, but it was something I didn't know and I still struggle with today. I went up a couple weeks ago and bombed because the jokes probably sucked, but uh, the I was rushing. The cadence wasn't there. The flow.
Yeah. Huh. Okay. That's funny because one of the things that I was always taught in sales is that, that sort of built-in pause is very helpful to try to get the other person talking. So it's sort of with public speaking, at least for me, I love that pregnant pause. I think it's like, especially if you're about to say something important or if you're about to make a joke, I think it's great because it lets people kind of sit there and anticipate what it is that you're going to say. I always thought that was really cool.
Well, you do a really good job on this podcast for the ones that I've listened to of pause. Do you edit this after with
No.
okay, so the pauses are your natural cadence then, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So I think oh, here's a good one. When you're with a group of people you don't know, do you have any problem with it being silent?
Oh God, no. No, absolutely not. No, and part of it, I'm sort of looking for that because when
Yeah.
it comes, it's very strange. My feelings, like anytime I have a microphone in my hand, I'll talk all fucking night long. I
Yeah.
don't know what it is, but like, give me a microphone and I'll talk about anything for as long as you want. I'm just that kind of person. But if I'm in a room with a bunch of people I don't know, completely fucking different. I mean, I'll clam up. I won't sort of like the pauses and the silence. It doesn't bother me. It's just I won't be the first person to sort of jump in and break the silence. You know what I mean?
So I'm the opposite. Is I'm always trying to break the silence, or I'm always trying to, and it's gotten negative. I think when you're with groups of people you don't know, the
Yeah.
funniest one is usually the one who's talking maybe like 20% of the time. You know what I mean?
Mhm,
Not the
mhm.
guy who's monopolizing the conversation like I sometimes do,
Sure.
and trying to get into every beat. The whole point of that pause and that beat is so crucial to comedy within social settings or within a podcast or on stage. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
that's kind of
Yeah.
going back to the original.
So when you're on stage, right, and let's say, so you're doing an open mic, you know what it is, you know your set, you know the jokes you want to make, and let's say something happens in the room that sort of catches you off guard. I mean, are you the type of guy that's able to sort of react to that thing quickly and make a joke out of it, or are you sticking to your set and that's it?
Lately, so there was a huge pause throughout COVID, obviously, where I was doing
Yeah.
some virtual events,
Hmm.
and now in New York City, I have seen this happen a couple of times, and I've tried to pivot,
Yeah.
maybe do, I don't know, quote unquote crowd work, but it's it's it gives you a real appreciation of the people who can do it. Like, what's this guy talking about? You know what I mean? But yes, I
Mhm.
do try to pivot because I feel that it's awkward to keep talking about it. I mean, if someone yells something or
Yeah.
stands up or ignores you and you keep going on
Mhm.
about what's the deal with airplane food? You know what I mean? It's just like, are we not going to address that thing in the room?
Yeah.
But I get it from an open mic standpoint, or people who are trying it out, like myself, and keep practicing. You
Mm.
want to just get your five out and see how it goes, right? But
Yeah. Yeah.
kind of differs.
Huh. Interesting. Yeah, I find again, I think it's such an interesting concept, and it's not so much like to get the first time and getting up and trying. It's the continuation and trying over and over and over again to try to make sure that you know you're funny. I find that part fascinating. It's very interesting to me. So you're in New York City now. Are you still doing open mics? Are you doing scheduled appearances? What is it that you're doing?
No, I still, so I, that's, and that goes back to what you're talking about. Like, I saw a guy like 7 months ago when I did an open mic, right? And then
Yeah.
like a couple weeks ago, I saw him again. And he had already improved light years ahead
Mm.
because he's like going every night, right? He's busting
Oh,
his
no
ass.
shit. Oh wow.
Now, this guy probably doesn't have a buck to his name, right? Like
Hmm.
this guy is doesn't have a girlfriend, doesn't have a house, doesn't like this is his job. This is what he's doing,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is sick, and I applaud that.
Yeah.
But this goes back to my work ethic. I'm just like simply not good. And it's almost bad. So like it's a hobby for me, which makes it
Sure.
even harder to go up every time, right?
Oh,
Going up next week,
okay.
and it becomes what would be the real thing because I'm going up next week with some buddies, right? So I'm going
Mhm.
up next Wednesday, and
Okay.
I should be going up this week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Then when I'm with my buddies and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna work a joke from Tuesday in and something I did Thursday. And I've only been that really um, routine with it once in my life, but then COVID and then New York and not having a bunch of people. So that's a long-winded answer to tell you, like, you get what do you get? You get like it's just hard to get up there and you just
Yeah.
stop doing things. I mean, I had a podcast. I did 10 episodes and then I didn't do it anymore. I almost commend you here, like doing your own podcast. Does it become in the beginning, was it hard to get back on the bike or anything? You know what I mean?
No, because again, it kind of goes back to what I said, where I just thoroughly enjoy having a microphone. So it's, you know, it would be a little bit different if I had an actual niche or an actual sort of theme behind the show, other than just, hey, I'm just a random guy talking about random shit. I think it would be a little bit different, because everybody I've talked to that has had a podcast, it's like, oh, it's so hard to do this. It's okay, well, because you narrowed you thought you were going to be a millionaire doing a fucking podcast on, I don't know, chocolate or some shit. And so
Yeah.
it's not going to happen. And so then after 10 episodes, you're out of material. So, I mean, my thing is, I just talk about shit that happens to me in like everyday sort of, kind of things. And my hope, when I started, I thought, okay, I'd like to try to find some like-minded people that would listen to the show. And in my mind, it was like, who the hell doesn't have something to complain about? Everybody fucking complains. It's just how, it's just the way of life. But hasn't really taken off like I thought it was. I mean, but at the same time, I love doing it. But I only, I'm doing it, honestly, I'm doing it for an audience of one, and it's me.
Yeah.
And so I kind of look at it that way. It's like, all right, until I get bored with hearing myself do it, I'm just going to keep doing it because I like doing it.
And I mean, God, not to be now, I had a bit about corny things to say, but that's like the only way that you can continue to do it is if you're doing it for yourself, because you're gonna be screwed as if you're in. I like that niche thing you're saying too, is if you can't just do it about chocolate for 15 episodes unless maybe you absolutely fucking love chocolate and it's only for you to talk about chocolate.
Right. Exactly. And if that's the case, then fine, have at it. Talk all the chocolate you want. But I mean, to sit there and think that, oh, okay, I'm going to talk French chocolates this week, and next week Dutch chocolates. I'm going to find a chocolatier who runs a tiny store in fucking Back Bay or some shit. And get them on the show and talk, and you're going to get bored of listening to yourself at some point. So I would just kind of tie it into stand-up. Then I would imagine that if you get, and I don't know if this is right, but if you get bored of jokes that are maybe not the jokes that hit every time, but maybe you have a joke that isn't bad, but it hits sometimes, it hits depending on where you are, depending on the time of day, whatever. Now, does that sort of affect your mindset when you get up there? Okay, I know this joke worked last time when I was in Brooklyn, or I know that this joke worked, yesterday when I was fucking around, I don't know, somewhere else.
Yeah.
How does that sort of play into it?
No, but it doesn't affect it, because if it's funny, what I need to do better of is writing those kind of further sentences, maybe. So no, it doesn't affect it. What has affected it is that your time, the way my life is, or say my life's going well, I truly believe that you're sometimes affected your comedy, right? Like, I'm not 24 years old getting blackout drunk anymore, so my comedy's not about that. I'm like, so sometimes what will happen to me, I used to make a joke to my girlfriend, I'm like, I got a girlfriend, I'm not funny anymore. And I mean, obviously she didn't love that, but
that's funny though.
So, but I feel like I'm more affected by that, like my outside life going well, and my job's going well. Whereas the therapy of comedy is like, if I go through something bad, I'm like, God, I can't wait to go on stage and do more self-deprecating things, and that probably comes from my humor, where it's making fun of myself. I'm not really, I don't know enough about subjects to be that, I'm not a good political comic. I don't know enough about relationships. I kind of avoid any of the PC subjects. Like, I don't really go into gender or anything like that. So I'm just like about myself. So if life's going well, you don't have shit, right? Your material sucks. So it's almost counterintuitive. Like, I should go on a fucking bender or something so I can get some material. But I don't know if that's the best way to do it.
That makes sense to me, though, honestly. So now, when you're writing material, and I'm sorry if this has devolved into sort of the comedy breakdown
No,
hour,
I
but
like it.
I'm
I will
fascinated
say
by it.
everybody who listens to this will probably be like, oh, comedy's funny. Comedy's the only thing where you don't have to do it and people still act like you're doing it. Like I feel like a writer sometimes. Like people will be like, how's stand up? And then it'll be like 3 months since I've gone up. And I'll be like, it's good. You know what I mean? So like who knows? But I do
Well,
like
but at the same time, and correct me if I'm wrong here too. It's like even if it had been 3 months since you'd gone up, it's still sort of kicking around in your head every now and again where something happens and you're like, fuck, that would make a good joke. And I don't know if do you keep track of shit? Do you write stuff down? Is that how you typically like come up with your material where you just, I don't know, you're having a conversation with your girlfriend or you're having a conversation with a customer, something comes up and you just, you write it down. Is that where you typically get your material? Or do you literally, are you one of these guys that sits down and just tries to like write jokes?
I've tried to do it both ways, but most of the time it's just I write it on my notes app.
Yeah.
I've tried to write it as reading after like um, Mark Normand and Jerry, and
Mhm.
there's some really big comics. Norm Macdonald used to write word for word, which
Yeah.
that's
Blows my
bonkers
mind.
to me, blows
Yep.
my mind.
Hmm.
Um, so I've tried to do it word for word, and it's never really gone there. Usually, I should be a little more structured. There's a comic who a stand-up comic who I started with, who's like doing a lot better than me. His name's Brian Consolas. He's actually on Twitter. He like follows us a little bit. He writes more like full pages of jokes. There was a time in his life where he used to bring them on stage. He doesn't do that anymore, but he like writes full pages, and this is like not word for word, but sentence for
Yeah.
sentence. So that structure, I wonder if is helpful. I don't know. The answer would be I
Wow.
don't know.
Is he on the spectrum somewhere? Because that seems like that just seems like the amount of detail that would go into that.
Yeah, I think it's got to be a nerves thing in the beginning, right? Like he doesn't
Absolutely.
he doesn't do it anymore, and he kills it.
Oh,
So
yeah.
um,
That's
uh,
good.
I wonder what that is about. I would have, I and so, but it can be different for me. One time when I was in my first one here in New York, I
Mhm.
wasn't living here at the time, but I did a stand up with a buddy, and I didn't write anything, and I was just I forgot about how big the crowds were here just for open mics. And he was like,
Oh,
"Yeah, we're gonna get
really?
up here," and I was like, "Oh shit, dude, there's like a lot of people here." Like, and I kind of forgot all my jokes and tried to
Oh
go off the
no.
cuff and bombed,
Oh
and I was
man.
like, I gotta write my shit down a little bit more. You know what I mean?
Is that frowned upon now? Like if you bring your notes on stage, is that frowned upon at all, or is that fine?
I think it would be frowned upon. Stand up sucks, right? Like, there's also like a falling in and out of love with stand up. Like, the worst part about open mics, if you've ever attended them, is that
Mhm.
every single person is just waiting to hear themselves talk. No one's listening to the comic.
To the Exactly. No one's there to watch comedy.
No, no, it's a good
Everyone's
point.
there. Everyone is there to literally perform. No one's there to actually listen to anything.
You
Maybe
would be,
the host might
yeah,
be the only person who's actually listening to everyone, whereas everybody else is literally just there waiting their fucking turn.
you'd be better off going to like a spoken poetry forum and be like, hey, I'm going to do a little comedy here. And they'd be like, that's not acceptable, and doing it anyways, because
Anyway,
people people are actually listening. I mean,
yeah.
the amount of times, like, I've done this, I'm a culprit. Like, I'll go up, no, before I go up, I'll listen a couple times, then I'll start drinking, and I'll
Mhm.
be talking, and then maybe I'll think of something I'm going to put in and write it in. Or if it's a current event and someone talks about it too much, I'll be like, I'm not going to talk about it anymore, right? And then
Oh,
so I'll cross it off. So I'm not listening to the open micers. So that's even worse, right? Like, I
mm.
don't know. That's the worst part about it, in my opinion.
It's such a weird I don't even really want to call it an industry. I mean, I guess it is, but it's almost like a fraternity. It's a weird sort of fraternity of weird people doing weird shit, and no one. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I would imagine at some point that people, other comics start to like you, but at the same time, you're always sort of suspicious of other comics. Am I wrong in that assumption?
No, you're totally right. And I think where you see it once again. to just stress this to the audience of one that we're talking to, right? I'm an open mic comic, right? So that's a different industry than real comedians, but you can see it with real comedians. I have this big problem with comics like getting pissed that they got canceled for a joke, right? When and I know everyone is on the side of like, you can't cancel it, you can't go to a comedy show and get offended. It's like, well, maybe these jokes shouldn't be so fucking shitty. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying that it should be completely PC and that stuff, but I just don't understand. The most sensitive people I've ever met are comics.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
So sensitive. I've never met a group of people who are more upset. Oh, I can say what I want. They get it. Yeah, and it's probably because they have some sort of trauma they're not dealing with, and their therapy is to go on stage. But it's just, it's very weird. It's a very weird group of people. You know what I mean?
It is so crazy. It is, honestly, it's just the funniest thing. Wow. All right. You mentioned you're living in the city now. I'm fascinated. That's another thing. I love New York City.
Love it? You'd go with love? You do like?
Oh yeah. I love New York City. I am a big fan. The thing with New York City to me is it's impossible to be bored in New York City. Although you kind of have to be, well off at the same time, but you'll never get bored if you live in New York City. Am I crazy in that assumption?
No, you're totally right. I mean, I could go out after this and
you can do something different every single fucking night for a year, literally, and still have probably another 6 months to a year of shit to do, and never repeat the same thing twice.
The only problem is it's mainly, well, not a problem. Depends what you're into. It's mainly focused, and I do the museum and non booze bag things too, but like it is mainly focused around drinking and eating.
Well,
Meet me here. Let's eat.
Let's eat. Let's have a drink, and that's fine. I mean, honestly, it's two things I love: eating and drinking. So it works out nicely. And so, to me, that, I mean, and I didn't even touch on that part. Like the different kinds of food that you could eat in that city, it blows my mind. I live in the suburbs of Boston. We're in East Bridgewater. We're like, 40 minutes south of the city. Yeah. There is nothing here. When I say there's nothing here, there's literally nothing here. So to me, the thought of being in the city, and even like Boston's one thing where, I don't dislike Boston, but given the choice, if I had to choose between living in Boston or living in New York City, I'd live in New York.
Just because of this. Okay, but a couple things you're missing. A, the dirtiness of New York is super.
It is dirty, but that's, to me, it's part of the charm. It's like, that's what Boston used to be though. When I was a kid, like I remember vividly, we went on a field trip in high school. This is 1996, right? We get off the bus in Boston, and what do we, a whole bunch of us, the first fucking place we go is the remnants of what used to be the combat zone. There was only like a handful of things left, but we got down there, like downtown Crossing was a fucking disaster. It was a shithole. And
where are you going for this field trip?
It was like, oh, Freedom Trail. Like, yeah, fuck you, Freedom Trail. Bullshit. Exactly. So we just walked around the city, and it was like, a bunch of like dumb kids from the suburbs. They drop us off in the middle of, town, and like, hey, make sure you're back here by 2:00. Yeah. Okay. Sure. See ya.
Yeah, sure. See you later.
So, I mean, and it was filthy. It was gross. And so, like, my comparison in thinking about what Boston was then to what New York is now, which the first time I went to New York City was probably around the same time, like 98, I think, and it was definitely dirty. And I would imagine, I think it was the last time I was there. Oh my God. A buddy of mine used to live on West 75th Street, and we went out there, I think like 3 or 4 times just to hang out. Yeah. And, again, it's like, filthy is not the word I would use. I would use like, it's a dirty city, like LA, dirty city.
I would use filthy for LA.
See, that's the thing. I think it depends on your level of acceptable filth.
Yeah, true. And that goes back to everything and any choice you make in life.
Sure, of course. And so now, how did you end up there? It's just you decided to move there?
Yeah, I got a job in downtown New York and always wanted to live here. I was also like you,
Yeah.
or am like you, that the food, the boredom. I
Mhm.
mean, I've been here for 2 years or year.
Yeah.
It'll be two. It'll be two.
Mhm.
And it's cool that uh, you're never bored. You can always meet whoever you want. You can go out whenever you want. You can get anything you want to eat.
Yeah.
I'm still enamored when I walk out of the subway. I'm still enamored walking down the street. I went to Home Depot the other day for something for the house. Actually, just to be quite straight, I elbowed a wall and I have a hole in my wall. Classic. So I'm in a small apartment here. The point being is, uh,
Ah,
I went to Home Depot and I was just enamored at how many people there were. I kept saying, I go, there's so many people here. There's so many people here.
I didn't even know there was a Home Depot in New York City.
Dude, I fucking love Home Depot. People do not give Home Depot enough credit.
Listen, so every time my wife and I go to Lowe's, right? I turn into a completely different person. And I know nothing about, I am the most mechanically inept person on earth. So I walk into Lowe's and I have no idea how any of this shit works. So I turn into the biggest asshole. And
Oh,
so because it drives me, I'm like one of these, I'm such a stupid control freak that if I don't know what I'm doing, I'm intolerable. Just,
just no one can handle you. Just
oh no. No. And now, so right now I'm unemployed. So what I'm trying to like be useful around the house. So like I'm doing a ton of yard work. And so I go to Lowe's but it's like, okay, I know exactly what I need. I go in there. It's a 4-minute trip in, out. I can't walk around. I can't mill about because I lose my
really.
mind. Oh, it drives me crazy.
Now, are you
Drives me
losing your
crazy.
mind? You're not so to your own admittance. You're not losing your mind due to the boredom or you don't like it. You're mad that the society has created things such as tools and mechanical operational things that you don't know how to work, so you simply won't have it.
That's right. Yeah. Man decided that tools were a thing. So now I'm angry about it. And I'm gonna be an asshole to my wife for the 40
Yeah,
minutes that we're in there.
yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
See,
Yep.
I'm on the other end where I'm like looking at everything I see in Home Depot. I think I need. I'm like, oh my god, I live in a small one bedroom apartment, right?
Mhm.
You and me can't fit in the kitchen together. We couldn't breathe, right? And I see like a patio furniture set. I'm like, I think I could get that. That would be a really good thing to have later on in life. So I'm just in there looking at everything that I want one day in Home
One
Depot.
day. One
One day.
day. So
Yes.
now obviously the track for, being in your 20s in New York City is that eventually you become successful at whatever job that you're doing and then you move to New Jersey. Is that typically how it works?
That's typically how it works.
Yeah.
I'm already behind on that track because I'm 30 now, and people are like, "You should move to New Jersey." I'm like, "I'm not moving to fucking New Jersey."
Why? For
Fucking
what? Why would you move to New
exactly.
Jersey? I don't
If
understand
anything, I'd
that.
like to stay here for like 2 more years and leave, then goes to
Eh,
California again.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's interesting.
why not?
California.
Right?
See, I spent a week in Los Angeles and I was like, okay, that's enough. I never need to go back.
I kind of like that. I'm like that with Boston. I don't ever need to go back there. I've seen
No.
it. I've done it. I've been there. Even like I've done
Where are you from originally?
New Hampshire
Oh, okay. So yeah, that's different. Right. Would you ever go back to New Hampshire?
for the sales tax, I guess, maybe, right? Or no income tax. You know what's funny? I was telling my girlfriend this. It's like everyone's like, "Oh, you should live in New Hampshire, no income tax or something like that." I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know enough about anything. I'm almost like you. Your Lowe's is my tax code. Like I don't get it really enough to understand everything. I'm like,
Or
I
to
don't know.
care. Or to care. Am I
Yeah.
right?
Like
Right.
I give my bank account number to my employer and they pay me what I think I'm supposed to be paid. And
And that's
I'm
it.
out.
Yeah. End of discussion. I think that New Hampshire is basically like the Mississippi of New England. It is it's as if every like redneck and hillbilly that existed in New England eventually moved into New Hampshire.
Usually they definitely keep that tone. They've made a little bit of money in their life, so they've moved up here, or they're from
I
up
see.
here, right? They're definitely rednecks, definitely
Yeah.
hillbillies. They're conservative politics. They're crazy.
Yeah.
I saw that thing you tweeted about the Tennessee mayor with the gun, which
Oh my God.
absolutely blew my mind. But anyways, that's like someone you would see in New Hampshire. Be like,
Yeah,
oh,
exactly.
that's a normal guy.
That's a normal New Hampshire guy.
That's my neighbor.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Well, listen, Alden, this has been an outstanding conversation. I learned a ton about open mic comic politics and how that works. And quite frankly, I was very interested. So that's part of the reason why I wanted to have you on. So selfishly, I learned a lot.
I love it. I've always wanted to come on here. I appreciate you giving me the opportunity. And if you ever want me again, I'll definitely return.
Yeah, absolutely. You said that you are doing an open mic next Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Where is that open mic?
Old Man Hustle, Brooklyn, New York. So
Old Man Hustle. I'm going to pitch that. No one listening to the program will go, but
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, I'll bring it up at the open mic too, just to
please
make sure
do.
no one's there.
Yeah. Just ask, and when everyone looks at you like, "What the fuck are you talking about, dude?" And then,
but I don't have the ability to pivot really, and I'm like, don't talk during my show. I need to go on with my life.
Great,
exactly.
Alden. Thanks so much. This has been great.
Yeah,
I'll be bothering you again. I'm sure, because this was good.
I love it.
Introducing the Noble Wayfarer, my new travel venture, backed by the power of AAA. The Noble Wayfarer will work with you and your family to create a vacation or holiday that'll provide lasting memories at the very best price, while also having a dedicated agent to be with you from beginning to end. Cruises, resorts, tours, and all of your travel needs can be met. Find me on Instagram at The Noble Wayfarer, and please be a friend, tell a friend about The Noble Wayfarer, inspired by adventure. Okay, as it is Wednesday, it is now time for 3 gripes. I hope you enjoyed that interview. I thought it was terrific. Hope you enjoyed my cheesy commercial for my new travel venture, The Noble Wayfarer. Please, as I said at the end, I ripped off Pat McAfee. Be a friend, tell a friend. Check us out on Instagram at The Noble Wayfarer. Now, it is time for some 3 gripes. Gripe number 1: kids' birthday parties. And I stole this line directly from my friend Melissa when she said, "What happened to piñata etiquette?" So true. Remember when you were a kid and somebody had a piñata, and after you were done freaking the fuck out that there was going to be a piñata at this birthday party? It used to be an orderly affair with all the kids of the same age as the birthday boy or girl lined up ready to take a whack. I thought that tributant was a word, meaning like a person to whom tribute is being paid. Turns out it's not. Should be, because it works. Tributant. Think about it. The linguish language. Wait, no, it would be the linguish anguage. Ugh, God, this show stinks. The English language, a lot of in there, huh? Seems to think that tributary would work there, but I think it's dead fucking wrong. Anyway, it seems nowadays pinata etiquette is entirely eschewed in favor of mass chaos. Kids of all sizes, shapes, and ages gathering in a semicircle at the ready for when the bat is dropped to the floor. The overly large older brother should not even get to swing until all the smaller children have gone. In other words, last. Wasn't the case here. At least I don't think it was. I wasn't paying that much of attention, but that much of attention. Oh, boy. God. I hope you enjoyed that interview because the rest of the show has sucked. Right? You can say yes. It's fine. You can say yes all the time. What's it matter? It's funny as the kids get older, it seems that less and less adult hijinks take place. Even though at this particular party a couple weeks ago, I managed to smash my head on the deck. I was running under the deck with one of those Orbeez guns. Have you seen these fucking things? I don't see how those little bullet things are at all safe for anybody, but what can I say? Um, and I'm, shooting my buddy's son running under the deck and smashed my dome. It like literally still fucking hurts. It's unreal. I shouldn't say it still hurts, but the bump has receded. But it used to be that they were an excuse to get shit faced. But when your ass gets old, I guess that's not the case anymore. So it's a real fucking shame, ain't it? I don't know. Gripe number 2, Texas. Remember how Texas used to be cool? I do, at least when I was younger. I thought it was cool. I remember my uncle many moons ago would occasionally travel down there, and well, we didn't really see him all that often. For a few years afterward, he would sport a cowboy hat. The man is as Portuguese as they come, and he rocked a fucking cowboy hat. Very odd, but it's pretty cool. Beside the point. Nowadays, it seems that Texas has become a punchline to those of us with a fucking clue, and it kind of sucks. The obvious starting point is the shooting in Uvalde, where the elected officials seem to think that that trying to hide all the evidence is somehow beneficial to them in the long run. I mean, I guess it is if they seem to think that people are just going to forget that 19 kids were fucking mutilated in a school. But I mean, it goes on, and again, it's it's always one side of the aisle here, which just is no longer a surprise. But it's almost as if the GOP just tries to shock people into like, ooh, what's the new fucking boogeyman? Last week it was drag queens, and I think they've probably moved on to something else by now. But just in the last couple of weeks, the Texas State GOP has indicated that they want to ban drag queens and ban drag queen shows because there was one or two shows that involved that invited children, so they thought that somehow all of those drag queens were gay and pedophiles, which is fascinating to me. But whatever. They also still believe that Donald Trump won. They hate gays, as I mentioned. They also hate brown people. Don't let them tell you otherwise. And they do want to secede from the Union. What? That's Vermont's gig, Texas. Back the fuck off. Okay? And Vermont thought better of it. Because they know, just like you should know, you're not going to sustain an economy with your current your with your current bullshit. I guess it's the best way to put it. Look, the governor is a complete waste of skin. The lieutenant governor even more so. The attorney general is a fucking moron. The two senators, U.S. senators, are so beholden to special interests that they likely wipe their asses with $100 bills. It's absurd. And look, the problem is that there's 29 million people that live there. I'm sure at least 47% of them are decent humans. At least. Tough to tell since, they don't really say much and probably all live in Austin or play for the Cowboys. But Wanting to succeed? Ugh. Wanting to secede is funny because these morons can't even keep the lights on. So, what the fuck? What are you doing? Texas. I know a handful of people from Texas, good people. Some of them are weird, but good people. So it's the whole thing is just strange to me. It's like every day there's something new that Texas is doing, and I can't figure it out. Is it? I wonder if there's like a marketing strategy behind the right in Texas where they want to be on the news, or they want to be on the internet, or they want to be the lead character on Twitter every day, because that's what it seems like. I don't understand the logic behind it, but what do I know? I'm just the host of a shitty podcast who literally is serving no purpose at the moment. Gripe number 3, John Hinckley Jr. Remember that guy? He fucking shot Ronald Reagan. Remember him? Obsessed with Jodie Foster. Anyway, this guy last week was, quote, what? No, Jesus. Fuck, David. Fuck. God, I am so bad. I can't even fucking read today. Ugh. That guy was released from, quote, all court restrictions, end quote. It's like, what? I heard this, and literally that was my reaction. What? And apparently he's been sort of in a half state of release for like the last 6 years or so, where he's lived with his mother, which blew me away because this dude's 67, his mom is still alive, and like able to have him live there. Like, what the fuck? But like he had to, like, he couldn't drink, couldn't really go anywhere. Um, Anytime he did anything, he had to check in, essentially. So, but he was able to work. Like, somehow he had a job. I don't know if he actually had a job or not, but the funny part is, it's like, look, he pled not guilty for being insane, yet somehow the level of insanity has waned with good behavior. I don't. And look, I am all for rehabilitation. It just seems to me that when you shoot the president, that sort of goes away, right? Like Jim Brady died eventually because of his injuries sustained by this guy. And just imagine if he was still alive. I haven't seen anything about Jim Brady's, like, relatives or family saying anything. So the only reason I found out about this is because apparently he has a fucking Twitter account. It's like, what? And the Twitter account has 37,000 followers. And he has a YouTube channel showcasing his original music and his artwork, and he's had one for a couple of years now. He's got 25,000 subscribers. It's like, fuck. I can't figure out what the hell to do with it, but this 67-year-old dude who tried to off the leader of the free world can, it's like, holy fucking shit, am I dumb? Oh boy. And so once he was, free of all these restrictions, he decided he was going to announce that he was going on a redemption tour. I'm not sure what he's trying to redeem himself from. It's like, buddy, we saw you try to kill the president. There isn't a lot, you can't really come back from that easy. But, the first gig was set to be somewhere in Brooklyn. Seems, they thought better of it. And rightfully so, because, here's a guy who tried to kill the president. He shouldn't be, touring. God, but that's my take. What do I know? What am I? Oh, okay, yeah, that's what I'm looking for. So they cancel the gig, and now he's out. He tweeted today, "I'm looking for venues that'll host me and not cave to the pressure." It's like, oh boy, I can almost guarantee you where he's going to end up. Texas. Even though, I don't know, who knows. That'll do it for the show. Like, fucking mercifully. I mean, I only recorded, I don't know, what, 20 minutes maybe a little bit more. The rest of it was the interview with Alden, and oof, man, has it been bad? It's been really fucking bad. And it sucks because my last episode, not an episode interview, the previous episode 121 was pretty good. I thought it was good. If you haven't listened to that, go back, check it out. But if you're only here because of the interview with Alden, first of all, thank you. Second of all, now you know just how awful this program is. And I implore you to come back each week to check on its awfulness. And then tell your friends and tell your moms. Alden will be performing next Wednesday at Old Man Hustle in Brooklyn, New York. And if for some weird reason you happen to be both a listener of this program and in Brooklyn, you should stop by Old Man Hustle in Brooklyn. Old Man Hustle. Old Man Hustle Comedy Bar. 39 Essex Street, New York, New York, 10002. They have hot dogs and a full bar. So check it out. Old Man Hustle. Great name for a bar. I think it's pretty cool. Yeah, but that's it. So again, thank you so much. Thank you for listening. I really do appreciate it. Please go to the Twitter page that you heard us talking about earlier, at ComplaintsPod. You can go to the Instagram page at ComplaintsPod. I do have a Facebook page, but fuck Facebook. I have a YouTube page that I can't fucking do anything with, but fucking John Hinckley Jr., a man who tried to assassinate a president, can get 24,000 followers by playing, truthfully, terrible music. I have a Twitch channel, but I don't know what I'm doing. TikTok, I haven't done anything with. I keep telling myself I'm going to make TikToks, and then I realize that it's not for me. It's it's not for me. It's out of. I'm not the target audience for that. If you feel like calling into the show, 617-657-4736. If you have a complaint or an observation, I ask you to give me a call. Leave a voicemail. Tell me what's on your mind, what's going on. If you want to be on the show, let me know. Show mail at complaintsandobservations.com or all the various methods that I've mentioned previously. For a show that sucks so bad, there's an awful lot of ways to get in touch. If you know anybody that wants to be on the show, I like talking to people. It's fun. I think I'm not terrible at interviews when I don't ramble. I did some rambling today, but it is what it is. What can you do? But yeah, that's it. Thank you as always. Appreciate it. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. Godspeed. Ta-ta.
I am without speech. I am speechless.